talk to the doctor. He don't know if I'm gonna make it, cause my heart is filled with hatred. It's cracking and it's breaking. I done felt too close to Satan. I'm shaking cause temptation wanted, now I'm sick of waiting. I'm a legend in the making. You can like it, you can hate it. Don't give it, let's just take it. Give me that, no hesitation. And I don't want no ties, just fuck our relations. Yeah, hey, it's only one color if it ain't red, it's dead. You scared to push up on my block cause all your steppers dead. I got some special bullets for you, send you extra lead. Niggas stupid in these streets, I call it special ed. Versus fuck a teller, combat need some edge to head. I don't trust nobody cause I just can't see the feds. I'm off that gas and talking shit, and please don't mind my meds. And please don't threaten my life cause I'll make your bed. Shot at your chest, shot at your head, and I don't aim for legs. Spin on your block with that Glock like a ceiling fan. Niggas got me fucked up because I don't need no friends. A year from now I'm spinning in the Benz with 100 bands. Yeah, I just talked to the doctor. He don't know if I'm gonna make it, cause my heart is filled with hatred. It's cracking and it's breaking. I done felt too close to Satan. I'm shaking cause temptation wanted, now I'm sick of waiting. I'm a legend in the making. You can like it, you can hate it. Don't give it, let's just take it. Give me that, no hesitation. And I don't want no ties, just fuck our relations. Simple, fuck that shit. I feel like I'm Jordan, I'm 23. We're winning the game, I'm MVP. It's some of my name, remember me. I lean in that Hennessy. She say I look good, she into me. Don't fuck with the Aki, my enemies. I'm rapping the shows in Tennessee. Niggas be hating, they envy me. Yeah, envy. Talking that shit, they come see me. I'm rapping so good, I'm on TV. My diamonds is biting, they VVs. Unreadable niggas can't read me. Don't got no more love, but don't leave me. I'm stunting on niggas is easy. They talk no more shit, but they need me. Yeah, my ties on repeat. Got my own plate, I'ma feed me. I'm an alpha, you can't leave me. My bitch is so bad, call her Riri. I'm rocking designer, got Gucci designer. Yeah, summer got Fendi. All these niggas wanna kill me. I just talked to the doctor. He don't know if I'm gonna make it, cause my heart is filled with hatred. It's cracking and it's breaking. I done felt too close to Satan. I'm shaking cause temptation wanted, now I'm sick of waiting. I'm a legend in the making. You can like it, you can hate it. Don't give it, let's just take it. Give me that, no hesitation. And I don't want no ties, just fuck our relations. Simple, ayy. I got love for my people, I ain't used to be equal. Keep it still a desert eagle, roll with killers, yeah, they lethal. Young nigga, yeah, I see you too. My kids can't wait to meet you. And I don't trust a soul, cause they'll leave you. Don't bite the hand that feed you. Don't trust no snake to see you. Pray to God because I need you. Was a felon, bad illegal. I just talked to the doctor. He don't know if I'm gonna make it, cause my heart is filled with hatred. It's cracking and it's breaking. I done felt too close to Satan. I'm shaking cause temptation wanted, now I'm sick of waiting. I'm a legend in the making. You can like it, you can hate it. Don't give it, let's just take it. Give me that, no hesitation. And I don't want no ties, just fuck our relations.
In the making, you like it, you can hate it. Don't give it, let's just take it. Give me that, no hesitation. And I don't want no ties, just fuck our relations.
So shout out to Limelight Management. Shout out to my homegirl Alexis. She actually booked some of the out of town guests. They just had a show last night. Baby Simba, who we just saw, he performed last night. We actually interviewed Baby Simba. Remember we interviewed him?
That was a cool little dude. That was a dude, 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was cool.
He was cool. I love seeing people doing positive stuff. I love seeing people grinding in this pandemic. The thing about this pandemic is what people don't realize is you have to take this opportunity to make the most out of it. Or you can sit at home and become a couch potato. Or you can find a way to still grind or promote or shoot your videos or do whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely shout out to him. I saw some of his performance. He rocked it live and cool beans. So shout out to Alexis. They was down South Carolina last night. So shout out to Alexis and Limelight Music. Shout out to my man Sergeant Q. He about a week I think it was last week, he actually performed in Florida. He went down for some award show and he actually got to perform there too. So I'll be ready to talk about this temper tantrum, this presidency.
Before we do that, we want to do a correction. Veronica's video, we were speaking of the video.
Yes.
Thanks. Shout out to you, Veronica. We loved the song. And the gentleman in the song was Cuban Link from Terror Squad. So a lot of people know him with Terror Squad. And then
That's
again,
dope.
they did a shout out to Big Pun, so that was real cool. So we do want to make that correction to make sure that's known who was in the video
Yes,
with Veronica.
definitely. Um, I thought that was a good look. I love New York shit. I'm kind of biased,
You know,
but
Really?
yes.
he stabbed me and smile at the same time.
Oh, but you don't.
What was that? What was
I
that?
don't smile.
He said people in New York can stab you and smile at the same time.
Yeah, we
I
would.
said you don't. He
And
said
you
I don't
don't? So I don't
smile.
smile. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's probably accurate.
Now I'm about
I
to
just
say
look
that's
at
true.
him, you know, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I bet that's accurate.
It's only when I'm around my nieces and nephews when I smile.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But I would say this. That's a good look. And definitely keep doing your thing. We definitely want to promote the joint, and I said what I said about the video, and I still stand by that. That's not
Right,
gonna
right,
change.
right, right.
But I still think it's a hot song.
Yeah.
And we're definitely gonna continue to play it.
Yes.
So,
So thanks again, Veronica, for sending in
Yeah,
your
appreciate it.
video.
um,
Appreciate it.
thanks for having the courage because a lot of people don't have the courage to do it. And we appreciate that. For Veronica Gonzalez. Um, so you ready to talk about this rat race?
Race. It's over. What you
Yeah, it's
talking about?
over.
We ain't talking about race.
But damn, do we have to go all the way to Saturday to say?
I mean, we ain't been here. Well, no, not Saturday. We can just talk about, the results, and summarize what happened before then. We can do
Um,
that.
I think. Well, he announced he was going to throw a temper tantrum at the very beginning if he doesn't win.
Actually, he did that for the 2016 election as well. He said in the 2016 election against Hillary Clinton, um, Donald Trump said that he would not accept the results of the election because he felt that they were trying to steal it and it was going to be rigged. So he did that for the 2016 election, and now he has done it for the 2020 election.
Did not know that.
Yeah,
I
same
mean,
same thing, exact same thing. It was creepy.
yeah, it was because, he lost the popular vote, but he won the electoral college, so all that BS. But it's he's gonna fight it tooth and nail to the end of it. His followers are gonna be behind it because they now they believe in all the conspiracy theories and shining a bright light up your butt and drinking bleach is gonna kill you from COVID and shit. So I mean, honestly, it did. I'm not gonna lie, it did shock me the results.
Why?
I, that the rhetoric and the talk actually was followed up by action.
Mm.
First,
That shocked me.
see
You mean
that.
for on his end?
No, on the end of the Biden campaign and actually folks getting out and actually voting and
Oh
making
yeah,
a
yeah,
change.
yeah,
I was proud to see that everybody went out with Stacey Abrams registering 800,000
yeah. Yes, that was
in
good,
Georgia.
amazing.
That was huge and swinging the vote. Pennsylvania, with folks actually going out and voting and not just talking about it and actually doing it. And
So
Mhm.
that's
one of the big things about this year was, my bad, CPT for cutting you off, was a lot more people voted early than I've ever seen
Right,
out of all my years of voting.
right. Which was encouraged by
by the pandemic
the
situation.
Biden campaign.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
We
the
can't
whole
say it was by the Biden campaign. Trump encouraged his supporters to vote at the polls on election day. Biden stressed to vote early, and to do mail-in ballots. That's what he
So
stressed.
so with me and my mom, because I voted on election day because I'm lazy and I'm drunk. But I voted on election day, and me and my mom went, and that's not the. Here's the thing. So since I've been like 18, every year I vote with my mom.
Right, right.
So that's just a family thing. That's one of the reasons why I didn't do vote early. But if she would have said she wanted to do that way, we would have did it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But we went to the polls um, as we normally do, and there was no line,
Right, because
and
everybody had
because
already
everybody had
voted.
voted early.
Yep.
Now the funny thing is when people told me CP3 about the stuff, they was like when they were people who voted early. Guess what they told me they ran into
what's that?
lines.
Yep,
A lot of people voted early.
yep.
A lot.
But see, on top of that, a lot of people also did the mail-in ballots. This year was historic for mail-in ballots. Like a lot of states, they say 20% of their voters do mail-in ballots.
I
and
was
now 70%.
I was gonna do that, but then I was scared with that whole postmaster scandal.
Right. And that was an issue. So what a lot of states did was create drop boxes, well, more drop boxes. They always have, like, you can always take your ballots to the board of elections and
Yeah,
things like that. But then this year, a lot of states, because they knew so many people were going to do mail-in, they had drop boxes all over the place. And that's what I did, actually.
yeah.
I had a first-time voter. My daughter is a first-time voter. And her and I did our mail-in ballots, and then we took it to, drop it off
Okay.
instead of putting in the mail because we knew,
Yeah.
the
It,
mail
and,
was messed up.
and honestly, when that whole my thought at the beginning of this was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go mail my shit. I ain't got time to be standing in lines. And then the whole mail thing
Yep,
scandal,
yep.
it and then talking to my mother, and she was like, oh well, I'm not gonna do it. The minute she says she's not gonna do it, it's worthless for me
Right.
because even if I do mail it in, I still have to go to her house to help
And pick
her.
her up and
Yeah.
deliver it. Yep.
So
So you might as well just go vote when you do it.
yeah.
But I will say I am extremely proud of not just um, the people who voted, but there are a lot of people that went above and beyond. And yes, Stacey Abrams, oh, she rocked it out because we all can remember when she ran, there was a lot of stuff going on with that election, and she didn't want that to happen again. So she, like you said, like CP3 said, she registered over 800,000 people in Georgia. And we know Georgia was like a focus. Shout out to Arizona as well. We had a lot of Latino and Native American voters that showed up and did not do it before.
You
So,
know the funny thing is, a lot of Latino people voted for Trump
well, in Florida, yes.
because of they feel that he represent because when you do those symbolism things like walking in front of the church with the Bible and stuff because they're he played on that.
Well, yeah, a lot of voters in Florida were the Latino voters were Cuban and Puerto Rican, um, Dominican. Now, those Latino voters that came from communist environments,
Yeah,
they're voting for Trump because think about the things that he was saying,
yeah.
you know. But there were a lot of voters, you know, Mexican and Puerto Ricans were like, no, no,
Hell no.
don't do that. But I mean, unfortunately, that's the message that he put out, and they unfortunately they believed it, and we can't necessarily knock people for it was a scare tactic on his
It
end,
was.
and we can't really necessarily blame them for that, especially if they're new to this country or new voters. I mean, what would you do in that situation? You're scared of communism,
Yeah.
and this man is telling you this is what I'm going to do. So that tends to be a lot of things that's going on. But this country was engaged for this election. I mean, I've never seen anything like it, and I was very pleased, very very pleased.
Trinity, CP3. Any thoughts?
I don't have a little technical issue over here, but my screen is stopping. You was following me. Give me a quick second. I can reboot do this thing again. I don't know what happened. All the BS. This whole election is. I have a kind of cynical view of it because this is kind of like when we elected Obama. Everyone was happy. Everyone was jubilant. Yeah, we got a black president. But then, where did what happened after that? Nobody, had no follow through, had no plan. We didn't do it. Now you have folks saying that you have some of the black voters for Trump saying Trump did more for black people than Obama did. Yada yada. We've had that discussion before. So it's like confusing to see some of these folks flipping up now that were saying that he was doing so much for blacks. Talking about they stole the election and all this and that. But I'm like,
Well,
what's the end game?
the thing
Right?
about the thing about it is what people is. I don't think it's confusion. People are lost. Um,
And Trump will lie to the end.
and here's the thing about this is the realization is this: Obama didn't do a lot for black people because we didn't ask him to do a lot for black people. Because some of us was just happy just to be here. And yeah, we got the same feeling with this with Biden and Harris because they just happy to be here. It's up to us to. We can't complain about the black people not having to vote if we don't fucking vote. And it's up to us to make sure there's a Democratic Senate and cabinet, and then it's up to us to ask for stuff. You know,
Hold them to.
if we don't hold them accountable to the stuff that we're asking for, it's something totally different. And I think that was the big failure in the Obama. I think that's why Obama failed us at sometimes, but I think we failed ourselves at a lot of times too because we didn't ask for shit.
Well, and on top of that, a lot of people.
And we didn't follow through too.
But you have to look at it like this: the way that our government works, pretty much, you can't necessarily place all the blame or all the praise on the president when it comes
That's
to
true.
certain things.
Yes.
And no, I'm saying this no matter who the president is. The way that our government is designed, the president can't just say, "This is what we're going to do," and it's going to happen, and it's going to completely flow all the way through. That's not how it works.
And to your point that's when I say we didn't ask for shit because we didn't follow through.
Right.
So when Obama became president, so we didn't go back and vote for a Democratic Senate, and then that's why it took all the way to his second term to get the Affordable Health Care Act passed
Right.
because it was block. You know, it's like going against Akeem Olajuwon. He's just no. No.
Right.
And it's just no, that's not what Akeem. That was a Mutombo. The Kimbe and Mutombo. Well, they were both African. Fuck it.
He act like he's an
See, and I be wrong. I be wrong. I be wrong talking about Cecilia.
I talk about everybody. My motto is straight with no chaser.
Lucky I'm having technical difficulties though.
Your motto is gunman number 2. It's a difference. I don't carry armed explosives as props, nigga.
I was trying to
You
get
never
the
know,
CP.
man. You know, it was a beautiful day. I might have got somebody
CP3 was trying to get that CP4.
Yes. And on air, he just said, well, I didn't have CP4.
I'm just saying, if I could have got some, that'd have been some real shit for the video, man. I'm just saying.
You know what? You got problems.
You gotta add some the dramatic feature to
No.
it, man. We could have blew the house up.
But no.
Somebody actually lives in that house, dude.
I'm sitting here like, no, you can't.
And
And then you need permits and stuff. You know that, right? Oh, see, no, I'm not even dealing with it. No. But anyway,
Are you sure your gun is legal? Anyway.
Right. Anyway, House, Senate has to. They play a major part. So let's not forget that. And then of course we see in this election, people voted for Biden, but I'm confused because the way these votes for House and Senate, it wasn't looking too high.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like,
So-
are y'all confusing me now? What
So-
you want to do?
And that's the thing. For one, to be honest with y'all, Biden is not going to be a miracle worker. He's a president.
Well, Biden, I will say he does have a leg up on a lot of other candidates because of his position with the Senate and how he has been for all those years.
But I don't expect him to walk on water.
No.
And there's a lot of people that expect him, you know.
He can't. He can't do that.
He can't. His kneecaps are really.
He's a mere human, thank you. So he's not gonna.
And he's
walk on
old
water.
as shit.
But I mean, the fact that, like, okay, we look at it like this: Mitch McConnell got reelected. Okay, Biden and Mitch, long-term friends. Mitch is a Republican. You know, when the Senate has a majority, that Mitch was running things. So with that said, if Biden and Mitch can work together, that's already something that's
It's a good thing.
pleasing to
Yes.
us, you know, so that's why I said he does have a leg up. He does. He's a Senate guy, you know. Kamala, she also senator. So it is a good thing. They may be able to get some things done because of that.
Yeah.
You know, nothing is just
It's perfect.
and nothing is actually we can't say 100% it's gonna happen. But at the end of the day, I'm happy. And then on top of that, they made history. So many historic marks were made. We loved Obama as a country. His approval ratings were way up there. People
Yeah.
loved Obama, and when he was voted into office, he had the highest ever popular vote.
Yeah.
Biden has surpassed that. Not because we love Biden more, but because a lot of people just didn't want Trump to be in office.
Yeah.
And let's not forget Kamala being vice president. That's huge.
Yes.
Woman, African American, Asian American. A lot of people don't know her mother is from India. Her father is from Jamaica. She went to HBCU. She's an AKA. All these things have never happened.
I mean, the thing about it is they tried to do it with a white woman several years ago with Sarah Palin, and it didn't work.
And then Hillary tried to run for president.
And it didn't work. And I still stand by the fact that Hillary Clinton was not a likable candidate.
Well, she technically was because she won the popular vote over Trump. Just
Uh,
the electoral college she didn't
the thing about it is though, people were screaming Bernie, and they still went with Hillary. And although Bernie Sanders looked like he knew Jesus in his young days, they were still screaming Bernie.
win.
I'm just saying, he looks old as shit though.
Well, Bernie and Biden are close in age.
Well, damn, Bernie, Bernie aged like a motherfucker.
Well,
Then.
Biden did too.
Bernie
In the
been
last year,
Not
Biden
like
looks
not.
different.
Bernie been putting in work for years too.
Yeah.
Bernie looked like he was around, on the Stone Age,
Man, Bernie
civil
was
rights
getting-
to
Why is man
now.
going in on poor little Bernie?
Bernie was getting beat down.
Uncle
like,
Bernie ain't
some of the
do
lower
nothing
civil
to
rights
you.
leaders. Bernie was, because I ain't got no problem.
And I mean,
with Bernie.
honestly,
I ain't got no problem with Bernie. He just looked like when they made the song Jesus Walks, he made the instrumental.
He look like Larry David. That's that shit.
y'all just gonna go in on Bernie.
I'm just saying he do
Yeah,
like Larry
yeah,
David,
just gonna
man.
go
I'm
Bernie.
saying, but I mean,
Y'all gonna act like Uncle Bernie look old, but Uncle Joe don't.
Uncle Joe don't look as old as Uncle Bernie though.
Have you
I
seen
mean,
Uncle
oh.
Joe?
Not like Uncle Bernie. Man, Uncle Bernie look like he got Joe by 5 years. They the same age.
I mean,
Well, no, he is. I think Bernie is like maybe a couple, like 1 or 2 years older.
Yo, Bernie look like his birth certificate says BC,
I mean, but for
before
real,
Christ.
what does it really all mean for real? That's what I was saying earlier about when Obama got elected. What meaning is it gonna? What meaning and push are we gonna have behind it as a citizens? We're all dancing in the streets and happy and singing songs because Trump is out, but it still is a problem with systematic racism in this country. It still is a problem
And
with
it's not gonna
police
get fixed in
brutality.
4 years.
Oh, it's not gonna get. Oh, it's not gonna get.
I mean, people.
But
I mean,
it doesn't matter who the president is. It's not going to get fixed in 4 years.
No, it's not going to get fixed.
It's gonna
but
take
what
a long time
But
to
what
get us
are
back.
we going to do
but
to help push the legislation and push the right people in place? Because now we see we have
But that's
the
a
power.
rhetorical question.
You know what I'm saying? But now we see we have the power to get the people out there we don't want, and it's not some bullshit.
People
because
need to continue. They need to keep that same energy.
that's what I'm saying. What are we going to do? Like
What-
I said, we protest with the BLM and we do all that, but what's the end game?
I mean, it's one of those situations where you gotta think about it like this. Truthfully, when Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown was killed, Obama was in office.
And he shed a tear on TV and said that could have easily been my son.
Yeah, and racism and oppression is nothing new to black people.
Here's the crazy thing. It's not just black people. That's the part that really concerns me, is that a lot of people make it as if it's only black people, and it's not. Unfortunately, Native Americans are oppressed often, and it's swept under the rug. My daughter, who is 18 years old, she'll be 19 next month, was really angry because she watched a video. There were Native Americans at Mount Rushmore that were protesting at Mount Rushmore, and there were some Trump supporters that came about, and they were fussing at the Native Americans, saying, "This Mount Rushmore is an American landmark. How dare you?" And so my daughter knows the real deal with Mount Rushmore, but that's not taught in schools. So those Trump supporters that came, now we know there have been some Trump supporters that are completely outlandish. They don't know nothing. But these Trump supporters that came and said these things to the Native Americans, they don't know what Mount Rushmore is. Mount Rushmore, before it was Mount Rushmore, before our country decided to, carve the faces of what they call our forefathers, before that it was called Six Grandfathers. And it was a Native American sacred landmark.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, there are a lot of things that are swept under the rug. And we have shed light to it for the African American problem, but we have to understand that there are other problems going on too.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Like
Um,
with the Washington football team. That was a big thing. And I saw so many companies and so many people coming out in support of Native Americans and saying that has to go. That team name has to go. Where were you when our government was plowing through these people's land at the Dakota pipeline?
Because it's popular.
But that's what I'm saying.
well, it was a way to distract for certain things.
It was a way to distract, but at
Like,
the end of the day, it affected those people in a real way.
true. I always think like this. It didn't take George Floyd's death to say, oh shit, we should take away Confederate statues. Because as a person who grew up in Alexandria, where there was a fucking statue on Washington Street, um, and
I've seen it many
and
times.
yes, and literally next to the Ross on Washington Street, it's it's the tombs of Confederate soldiers, the unknown tombs, like,
Hmm.
and then, I mean, I went to TC, but I digress to having to go into Robert E. Lee. Like,
Hmm.
how the fuck would you go to a school named after a Confederate general and you expect to
Somebody
be
who didn't
prosperous,
like you.
who didn't like you? So when it's small things like that we put in that are put in place to keep us down,
Hmm.
and it shouldn't have took a death of a man in 2020
Right.
to say, oh gee, they're wrong.
But
They were wrong in 1979. They were wrong in 1964. They were wrong in 1988. It's been wrong.
yeah. And the thing is that some people are so shallow and they think that, oh, my struggle that I had is more important than everybody else's, and that not realizing by having that mindset, you can't get mad at people who are saying all lives matter when you only care when it affects you. Not realizing that the Latino community and the Native American community needs assistance too. Everybody who is suppressed in this country, they need to join together and do what they need to do
But
because it applies to all of us.
true. But here's the thing, because my aunt, God rest her soul, and my mom were part of this thing called tenant workers, and they dealt with minorities and stuff. And here's the biggest thing: when we have those meetings, the Latino people came out.
Hmm.
When we had those meetings, guess who didn't show?
Black
Black
people.
folks.
My aunt and my aunt was the president of tenant workers for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. And she was black. The majority of the people attending working was Spanish.
Yep.
Um, and at one point, my mom, I think, was a vice president or secretary or whatever. She did. It's just that when they first started, they tried to get all the black people. They tried to get all the black daycare workers for them not making them enough money. And then the thing is, when the black people got their little 50 cent to $1 raise, they stopped coming.
Mm.
They didn't think about what about next year. They didn't think about, okay, well, they gave us a raise after 5 years or after 10 years or something. But how about we getting a raise every year?
Hmm.
They don't
Or how do
think
we
that
keep them from doing other things?
Yes.
either.
And I remember going to a meeting, and I was a member of Tenant Workers for a while. And my aunt spoke, and the only black people there was me and my aunt and my uncle. And it was about community stuff.
That they
And
could have benefit from.
we could.
Yeah.
It's called Tenant Workers. So it dealt with housing. It dealt with all the issues that you would have as a struggling family in Alexandria, and very few black people went. But I bet you if I went to the barber shop, I bet you I went to a go-go out DC. I bet you I went anywhere but there. I could find black people doing stuff, and that's the biggest problem. Is that the fact that we do one thing and we pat ourselves on the back like, oh, our job is done, and it's not.
Right.
You know, a minority is a minority.
Right.
You know,
And trust and believe what they will do to one, they will do to the other.
yes. And the reason why, take where we at right now. Spanish people will know how to live together. There are plenty of Spanish people because that will buy trailers and build with each other and take care of programs that are available within the city because they work together. While there are black people who've been in a project since I was 18, since I was 13, and they grew up in the projects, and guess what? They were taught to get another house in the projects, and that's all they know. Oh, my mama grew up in low income, and I'm gonna grow up in low income,
Right.
and then they didn't have babies, and they still in low income.
Yep.
Where you got Spanish families that are, oh no, we all gonna live together under this one roof. We gonna build, and then when you get your money, you gonna go get your house, and then you'll get another family and help them out. Boom, 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 and build.
And honestly, that sense of community used to exist in the black
It used to,
I don't.
but I'm gonna tell you. So one of the things,
On the leadership stuff.
it's not even the leadership. It's deeper than that. It's what it is that black people love to be assimilated. We love to assimilate other people's cultures rather than embracing our own cultures. The one thing is, like Black Wall Street. They broke Black Wall Street apart, and we allowed them to. And then when they broke it apart, we didn't do anything about it. See, as much as I love like Lil Kim and Mary J. Blige, you know what hurts me to the core? When I see a black woman that wants to have blonde hair and blue eyes. Because that ain't us.
Well,
But
is to some.
it is to some, but what I'm saying is, traditionally, when people see us, they ain't the first. When you first think of, because black is one of the people that make any color of the rainbow. So, and I do know that. But traditionally, when you think of blonde hair and blue eyes, you think of Caucasian people. And when I see popular influence black people who dye their hair blonde, and get the blue eyes and do this thing. Like Lil Kim was way more prettier in the 90s than she was ever in the 2000s.
Well, you also have to understand how, particularly black women, because you spoke of two black women, the way that our society is, because we don't have a culture. Let's be real.
Okay.
African Americans don't have a culture. We have no choice but to adopt other cultures. But for a long time, a lot of young black women, when you're a little girl, you, especially growing up in the times that they grew up,
Image.
you were told you weren't pretty.
Yes. You were told, if you're a little girl, and here's the thing. As a kid, I grew up watching G.I. Joe. I grew up watching Transformers. I grew up watching Thundercats. And there were very few black characters in it. Panthro, we can tell he was black. Out of G.I. Joe had like 2,000 motherfuckers, and you can probably find 5 black people. Real talk. And so as a female, when you grab a Barbie doll, when I worked at a toy store, so I knew that I could tell you this now. I worked in the toy with KB Toys, y'all dead. So I can say whatever the fuck I want. Rest in peace, niggas.
I loved KB, by the way, but go ahead.
I loved it too, so they went out of business.
Exactly.
But I remember you would get, if you got 30 holiday Barbies, which is a special kind of Barbies,
Yep.
$50 a piece, you would get 10 black.
Yep. no matter what area you were in,
Yes.
which is a problem when you're in an area that is like anywhere in PG County.
Yeah. If you got if you saw if you used to look at all the Barbie dolls on the early '90s, because Lil Kim said, you know what, I used to love Barbie dolls, but you know that's why I got all the chains. I didn't feel beautiful
Yep.
because I was trying to look like a Barbie doll.
Yep.
Um, but if you remember, you would have if 10 different Barbie dolls came out, right? There only be one or two at the most that were in black. No bullshit.
And also, you also have to remember this. Back in those days, a black Barbie was just the white Barbie that was tinted another color.
Yes.
So your features that you have would not show on that Barbie.
Yes. And it would say shit like Black Barbie.
Yeah.
It would say Black Barbie doll. Like Holiday Barbie, black.
I mean,
Like it was like it had the accent. Like if you didn't like you were fucking colorblind and you didn't know the doll was black, it would say Holiday Black.
I mean,
And
does it
technically the
surprise
shit was
you?
brown.
I
But
mean,
that's a whole totally different story.
and does it surprise you? I mean,
It doesn't.
every other race or ethnicity has American beside it except for what? Caucasian, Native American, Black American,
And Native
Chinese
Americans
American.
are the original people.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said when I said last week, I'm pretty much numb to the race issue. Only way that's what's the only way we can try to change it is to try to talk. We have to communicate with the other side.
Well,
But
I
but but here's,
can't.
but here's the thing. When you say that you're numb, the thing is I can't be numb
Right. You.
because
I fight it
I've seen it.
over.
I've seen it for so long, and
Yeah,
I, and I've seen it on so many different levels
me too.
where I can't be. I can be passionate. I can be angry because it's a difference of how would I say this? You remember I Love Lucy? So it was more acceptable in the 1960s, 70s, or whatever when that show came out. It was more 50s. It was more acceptable for Lucy to be married to a Spanish dude than having a black person on that show. That's a big problem. And I love Lucy though. I ain't saying she's racist, but I remember it took almost 10 years. I remember watching that show and then watching The Jeffersons, and it was a totally different vibe.
Yeah. But you know that was her husband in real life.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
But if it wasn't,
but I will say this: even with Lucy, there was a lot of backlash for that.
there was.
A lot of backlash. That was not considered acceptable. To the point where, if you remember the show, they wouldn't show them in the bed together. They had two twin beds.
Yes.
Remember?
However, no bullshit. My grandparents had two separate beds.
Yeah.
And it was a small space. Now, I don't know what they did when I wasn't there, but when I got there, there was always a small space. I can tell you that.
But even then, you know, it was a big deal. And that show supposedly, you know, had some breakthrough moments. You know.
But
I mean, it's been so.
but here's the thing. There's a lot of shows, and there's no disrespect to Spanish people, but there's a lot of shows where Spanish people have been more accepted than black people
Well, on the show in particular.
in culture. Has
But you have to also look at, like, right now. Let's be real. Um, our current administration, he openly,
disrespected Spanish people.
yes, it's all about. Well, he says Mexico this and Mexico that, and they're bad hombres and this and this and that. Now the African American votes, he cares about. He tries to pretend. We know that he
He
doesn't care,
doesn't.
but he would try to pretend that, you know, he was for us, you know. But when it came to Latin America, mm-mm.
Because who did he screw out of when all those bankruptcies? They were mostly Spanish folks that had contractors companies that he filed bankruptcy
Right.
and didn't pay him. So
So what I'm saying is, it depends on the source.
I mean,
You have racist people in this country. Doesn't mean, if you're racist, it doesn't mean that you have an issue with African Americans. It's not just African. You can be fine with African Americans. If you have a problem with all of Latin America, then you're still racist. You
Most
know,
of them realize they're
if you
racist.
have an issue with Asian Americans, you're still racist.
I mean, it's
So it depends on the source.
yeah. I
Also
mean,
depends on who
the
they're
thing is, you
trying to
can't say
separate.
people. Here's the thing: people will say, "I love black people, I hate Africans." It's the same thing.
Well, unfortunately, in this country, it isn't.
That's
I
true.
can't agree.
I mean, you work in healthcare, and I've worked in
I
healthcare
work in
before,
healthcare. I know.
so you know there is a difference.
Yeah, I know. Some of them don't feel like they black.
And I have
That's a whole nother conversation we need to have
right,
because
and I have a friend who is from
uh,
Cameroon, and he came to me. And now, mind you, he is very well educated. He's gone to every Ivy League school imaginable, and he decided to go outside of his box and look at the issue between the two. And he talks to his friends on both ends, trying to make amends and telling everyone because you also have to remember that a person that came from Africa, the image that they have of us
it's different.
is we are ratchet, we're
Here's
spoiled, blah blah blah,
here,
and then our image of them
here's the funny thing
is
about that.
different.
Here's the funny thing about that is, and you're right about that. Um, Africans don't view Africans are over the slavery deal because they weren't the ones enslaved. So when we harp about that, they don't think about that. But they don't think about it until until an African gets killed, then they black. Because when the African gentleman who got shot in New York that was killed several years ago was
Or
like 2010.
in Clinton, 7-Eleven, remember that?
And
Yeah.
then they want the black community. However, if you're gonna be black, you're gonna be black all the time.
Well, here's the thing: the rest of the world outside of America, they know they're black.
Yeah.
We are considered African American. Okay, so they know they're black. It's just a difference between the two cultures.
Yeah.
African American and an African. They have two different cultures.
We do.
We're different, but we have a lot of similarities. And I will give all props to different countries in Africa that have actually had campaigns to have African Americans come over.
And here's the thing with black people. The African Americans we encounter here aren't the same. If we took a trip to Africa, it'd be totally different.
It is.
And it'd be a lot more love. From black people who I've known who have gone over there,
Mm-hmm.
they've been shown a different point.
Yeah.
And
Honestly, most of the time when you go places, the black people that you encounter, it is different.
it is.
It's different than what you experience here.
Yes.
I will say, depending on where you go, they may look at you as a source of money, but
Yes. I'm
depending on where you go,
broke.com.
right? Like, I mean, it's real, but because we're looked at as having a lot more
Spoiled.
privilege,
Yes.
we're spoiled. We have more
The funny
privilege
thing is,
and things
I
like
once
that.
had a dude that was working for me, and he had to be told by somebody by another person that worked for me. He was like, "Well, in my country, I wouldn't be doing the trash. I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be doing that." And my man had to tell him like, "Yo, dog, you need to go back to your country,
You know which country it is, huh?
Ghana."
Ghana or Guyana? Because Guyana, I know some people from there that are like
And I think he was Ghana.
that. Okay. But it is unfortunately that's what we have to deal with in this country.
It's
I
true.
I feel as though the incoming administration will definitely change the tone.
I pray that they will.
I feel like the tone will change. It's not even that I pray. I'm like 99.9% certain that the tone will be changed. Um, that doesn't mean that everything will magically be perfect and fixed.
It won't. That's the biggest thing that people think that when Joe Biden gets in office, everything's going to be fixed. It's not.
It's going to take a long time to undo what the current administration has done.
Yes. We had 4 years of racism and hypocrisy. So what the fuck do you think? You can't fix that in 90 days.
But it's not even for me. It's not even just that. I'm a business owner. I'm worried about the financial aspect of it as well. Our country is going through some struggles right now, and that is a problem. That's a major problem. So
Well,
you know,
I work in healthcare, and come March, this will be COVID's anniversary. Actually, technically, COVID's anniversary is October,
that's true.
because when I first heard about it was in October,
Right, right.
and it really didn't hit us until March, and then it was on some
And there were some cases
put your
in
mask up.
February that people suspect were COVID.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, here we are almost a year later, and
And we're still confused.
we're still going through these struggles.
Yes.
Our numbers have actually broken records in recent days
I mean,
due to
we
the
just
election.
we went up from 2 weeks before the election, we went from 8 million to 9 million.